Howdy, all you delicious people. Welcome to Demon School. Episodes 1 through 3. So, when going into this show, immediately I a lot of comparisons to My Hero Academia and Harry Potter, I mean. Uh, really, going through here, this is kind of on the light and fun side, where a lot of times I would have this dark and brooding and gory anime that freaking has all kinds of blood and situations where women's clothes are being ripped off all the day long. Freaking every episode is how can we show less clothing? And so this was kind of interesting to come back to an anime that was a little bit lighter and really just is cutesy and funny and whatever. But I guess eventually I'm going to probably head back into certain animes that are really kind of fun eventually if people want more anime. It's been such a long time since I've reviewed anime. I can come up with a number of cool anime shows that I probably won't even have time to review. But more than likely, I can probably just review them in a bulk kind of thing where I'm just oh yeah, here's how I felt about this show because I remember it was so fun. But anyways, how did I feel about Welcome to Demon School? So, Welcome to Demon School was really just one of those kinds of animes where the main character is all of a sudden beloved by everyone. And I'm just oh no. So every episode is going to be that everyone's going to be licking the boots of the main character. And that's kind of fun. I've seen animes like that where eventually we have certain kinds of anime where you have women who are all of a sudden to be we have the male character that it seems this is the last guy on earth, and so these women are just rubbing up against this guy and he's the last man on earth even though he isn't, but it just seems weirdly that he's the the top guy for whatever reason, and so these women are just how can I please you? And I'm okay, this is so goofy, but yeah, so this anime, Welcome to Demon School, is just, I would call it fun and goofy. It's just one of those where if you love Harry Potter or if you like My Hero Academia, it kind of has those feels. I love supernatural stuff, so this is kind of an easy win over for me because I usually like anything that has to do with something that has a visual edge of sorts, where meaning demons. I'm ooh yeah, what kind of monsters and what kind of creatures can we see in this show? Immediately that's what won me over because I'm I want to see a bajillion freaking monsters. And once I saw the pilot, I'm good. Freaking monsters, creatures, and whatever. Great. This will at least, win me over or tie me over somehow. Because demon and monsters and creatures and cool. Thumbs up. So, that is just kind of the easiest way to win me over. But this might not be a show for everyone. Because a lot of people are I don't like how it's too, it's too goofy or it's too whatever. So where could you go out of your way to say that you've seen this show? Because I'm going to tee it up in a second here to kind of tell you what this story is. Where can you go to see this show? Well, I've been consistently using an app called Anime Prime. And so Anime, Prime, Prime, you should be able to go in there and you should be able to watch seemingly anything for free. There might be stuff that probably doesn't exist on that app, but a lot of other stuff that you may have not have even heard of before. For a lot of English-speaking people, you might have to go into the dub version to eventually get English English freaking anime, or maybe you just like Japanese shows, and because you're like an authentic person that I don't know. Anyways, so now let's tee it up. What is this show exactly about? In a very vague, still like sense. So we have this kid who is named uh, Arumi, Aruma. There, yeah, Aruma. I remember how it was pronounced. So Aruma is to be this kid who evidently didn't have the best kind of parents. Basically, if these parents could have sold this kid for $1 million, they easily would have. Like, oh, like basically they probably could have sold this kid for $1. Like if this kid was born to do chores around the house and to be born to eventually do these odd, crazy jobs because, like, basically they're just like, hey, make $1, go on. So Rumi didn't even get to go to school because he was basically forced to do manual labor since birth of child. So what ends up happening is Rumi is to eventually get sold to some demon. Like basically Rumi's soul is to be forfeited so that way his parents could make money off of him or whatever. And so Lord Sullivan is to collect this guy's soul. So, like, to me, this feels like the live action show Reaper. If you've never heard of the show called Reaper, God, are you missing out? Because that is a great show. Like, I think Warner Brothers or the CW or whatever the heck, they did that show at one point in time. If you could go and find that show and watch it, like, you won't regret it. But anyways, so Lord Sullivan is to take this kid in and be like, ha ha ha, you're mine. And so Irumi is just to think like, oh crap, like, what is he going to do? Is he going to eat me? Like, am I going to have the worst possible life for eternity? What's going to go on here? So Lord Sullivan is to basically just ask this kid, hey, like, do you want to be my grandson? And he's like, well, what does that entail? Like, basically, Lord Sullivan is going to shower this kid with gifts and just be, like, the best, like, granddad, whatever he can be. And it's just like, wait a minute, like, but where's the part where, like, he's going to just, like, hate this for, like, no. There's no, like, he's going to hate it. Like, no, he's going to love all of it. And basically, this Lord Sullivan is like begging a roommate, like, please be my grandson. And so Irumi, of course, does the deed or the deal, but he didn't have to. So this eventually leads us to push this kid on to go to this demon school where supposedly he has to get dropped into some goop like all over him because he's human and all these other people are demons, and so more than likely he could probably get eaten because demons around. So Arumi goes to this school, and so from here on out, we basically have everyone just going through and licking Arumi's boots. Like, everybody is just like, man, I don't know what it is about this Rumi, but I'm going to be continually licking this guy's boots because I just love the taste. Like, that's who all these people are, in all honesty. So, like, and I'm kind of waiting for them to go to, there's this one girl called Azazel Imari. I'm probably ill pronouncing that. You're gonna realize that I'm gonna probably ill pronounce names, but I'm gonna try my best. So Azazel is just kind of like red-headed girl that has these cat like you'll see her right here. You'll see right here. I forgot I had an imagery of this person, because normally I wouldn't. Yeah, like I'm kind of like interested in what her story is because uh, I kind of really like the tall girls in a lot of the shows, but like that doesn't mean like, oh well, that means you have to have a tall girl. No, it's just coincidence because like she's the only one that really sticks out. Where it's like I want to know her backstory. So, but we'll probably have to wait till like the mid season, or probably like I don't know. It'll probably be the very next episode. I'm like, oh man, was I stupid? So, uh, eventually, this kid is to like go in and uh like have all these like demon characters surrounding him in the school to everybody be ushered in. And so eventually we have this kid who just kind of goes up into this podium, says his spell, and everybody's like, whoa, like you shouldn't have done that kind of spell. But so then eventually like everybody is just like, man, this kid is gonna be like the best kid. Like this kid is gonna be like top notch. Freaking everyone's gonna be his best friend for whatever reason. Uh, but yeah, so like that is a bulk of the teeing up thing that's almost getting into pretty dang close to spoilers. So let's get into teeing it up even more so by going into the coveted spoiler time. So let's go out of our way to say that we've seen the show because we have. And let's go into spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time we get to spoil the show. So basically, just kind of what I said in the very like opening of this was pretty much what happens. So, but we'll fill in a little more detailed things. So, Arumi, I'm going to ill-pronounce names. Main character. Iruma is to be this kid who is to be like on this ship where all of a sudden we have these like fish like flying out of these like bins, and we have this other guy that's like, oh hey man, like I gotta go somewhere else, like you hold up all these bins. And so all of a sudden we just have this kid who's all of a sudden dodging all these like fish coming at him because like he just like these fish are too huge. So all of a sudden we have Aruma who is to all of a sudden just be like everything is to stop. Aruma is to be tied up and to have a thing slapped on his chest that says sold. And it's like, I've been sold? What is this? So, Aruma is to head to seemingly Lord Sullivan's castle, and that's when Lord Sullivan is like, well, hey, like, I want a grandson, and so, like, I'm gonna treat you like a king, and like, I'm gonna beg you to be my grandson. Like, if you don't want to do it, like, I will completely understand that, but, like, I beg of you, please be my grandson. And so, Iruma is kind of a pushover. Like, we're going to consistently keep, like, mentioning that throughout this entire show, where anything anyone is to say to him, he's immediately to do, because he's also an easygoing person. And plus, also, he's just like, well, I can't say no. So, Aruma says yes, and so bizarrely, this guy is to shower him with all kinds of gifts. And just like, so, Lord Sullivan has this like second in command guy. Like, I don't know if he's a butler or whatever, but we have this guy named Opera, which I'm just like, you know what, I want to know something about this opera guy. Like, who is he? Like, what is up with the opera guy? He has a goofy name. Like, it feels like he's gonna be one of those people that's gonna like whisper sweet nothings to him to like to help this character out. But I don't know. Like, I want to know more about this opera guy, but I don't think we're ever going to get to that point. I think we're just going to, like, I think there should be an episode dedicated to opera guy, or opera. Um, but I don't think that's going to happen. So the very next day, Iruma is to be given this like alarm clock, this weird like bird alarm clock that sounds awful. So Aruma is to go to demon school and get this huge batch of goop just tossed on him because supposedly that will disguise the scent of Aruma. Because if Aruma is to eventually splurge to anybody that he's to be a human within these demons, the demons will all consume him or eat him or whichever. Like, probably both. They'd probably just consume and eat him all in one gallop. So Iruma is to go to this demon school, and he's just like, "Yeah, I don't know about this demon school thing. I don't want to go. Like, I think this is bad. Like, I'm probably gonna get killed when I come in here any second." I'm just so. Iruma goes to school, and so like Iruma like never got an education because his parents just wouldn't allow it. We just see a sequence where like his parents are to just consistently ask Iruma like, "Hey, can you do this chore? Can you do this thing? Can you do this? Could you do that?" And like Iruma is always just like, "Sure, I'd love to." And it's just like because this guy is just like he has no spine. But when looking at it, I guess in the opposite spectrum of things are going to work out for Ruma in this thing. And so, like, it's going to be bizarre how it's going to be like this kid was so willing to give up any number of things. And now everyone else is going to give themselves up to Aruma. It's weird. So, I guess that kind of, like, that has to like counterbalance, like has a life counterbalance, I guess. Anyways, so Aruma is to go to this school, and so all of a sudden he's surrounded by all these demons and monsters and whatever, who bizarrely have their own school song about like eating humans and flying into places and whatever, and like it's a pretty actually decent song. I'm like, man, I wish I could get like a soundtrack of this of this school song. It just seems kind of interesting. Um, so like, and bizarrely they had like lyrics on the screen, but like I don't think the lyrics matched what they were actually saying. But I guess it was just me. So we have Aruma who is to find out that Lord Sullivan is actually like the Dumbledore of this whole school. Like he's basically like the principal of this whole thing. And so Aruma is like, "Oh my god, my dad is like my granddad is to basically be like the head of this whole school." And so Aruma had gone and taken this photo with his dad, and so Lord Sullivan's first act is to basically show off this photo to everybody, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, like I'll give these things to everyone." And it's like, why? No one's gonna care. So, uh, so that shifts Aruma to go up into the, of course, podium so that way he can speak this spell. And so he's saying all this stuff, and everybody's like, "Oh, like, wow, like, this kid is really going for it." And so all of a sudden, this person says this spell, and Iruma is like, "What did I even do?" And supposedly one person had mentioned, it's like, "Wow, that was a forbidden spell that you just spoke. Like, you really should not have like said that whatsoever, but I guess you just wanted to just be like a like a God, what is the word? Confident kid, huh?" So we find out that this spell was just a ability to not trip for an entire day if Aruma is lucky. So all of a sudden, like, everybody's just like, wow, this kid, like, whoever he is, like, man, we're excited about him. Like we can't wait to eventually have him just go to this school and just be the best, I guess. So all of a sudden, that is to eventually have a Ruma with a confrontation with a guy called Osmodeus Alice. And so Osmodeus is just like, hey, like, I was supposed to be the one to go up there and say that speech and do that thing, but you took that from me. You took that from me. So that just led to having Osmodeus just going and tossing these fireballs at Iruma. But we end up finding out that, bizarrely, that Aruma has this evasion technique built in his body over years of doing these horrible jobs, like almost getting attacked by a bear and any bajillion other horrifying things that he was forced to do for odd jobs to, I guess, pay for his parents' living, I guess, or whichever. So Iruma is to just continue to dodge every single attack that Amodius Alice is to be dishing out. And so Modius is like, how is he dodging everything? And so eventually Asmodeus is to go on and put out this flame sword and then eventually try and attack Aruma with this. And that just leads to Asmodeus to eventually, of course, like, Aruma dodges Amodius' attack, and then all of a sudden Amodius, with his flame sword, is almost going to, like, run into people. And so all of a sudden we have Aruma, who ends up grabbing Asmodeus from behind, and of course does a wrestling move called a German suplex, which basically means, like, you grab a person from behind and then kind of flip them over. Usually, a lot of times, like, normally someone would do, like, a German suplex, like, release, but, like, this guy, like, basically, like, kept the whole German suplex thing for a while. But anyway, so what ended up happening was, evidently Aruma had done this German suplex so quickly that Asmodeus ended up getting knocked out because of it. And so all of a sudden everybody's in a huge buzz at this school because it's like, oh my god, this kid took out Asmodeus. How could he? Like, man, this kid is, like, really somebody. So all of a sudden Aruma is like, god, I'm dead. Like, freaking, like, I've already had, like, an arch nemesis. Like, is this going to be the Malfoy variation of this show? And so all of a sudden we have Aruma that is just kind of contemplating the minutes of life that he's left to have. And so all of a sudden Osmodeus Alice is to confront Aruma, and Aruma is just like, oh, I'm dead. I'm so dead. Like, I'm just going to start carving out my gravestone right now. And so Osmodeus is just like, you know what? Because of what you did, like, I am going to be your servant forever. And the kid is like, wait a minute, what? Like, you're gonna be, like, my friend forever? Like, how does me knocking you out garner your servitude? I'm confused. But no, like, this is kind of like One Punch Man all over again, where, like, this kid does one move, and all of a sudden he has, like, a freaking sidekick for, like, the rest of the show. So, like, that was kind of the breakdown of the very first episode. So the next episode is to be mostly focused on Iruma going and figuring out that, I guess, supposedly people can summon certain like demonish like allies or demonish like little like Pokemon or Digimon like characters to help them to do whatever they need to do. So Aruma is to eventually see Osmodeus do this like giant snake of a thing, and so that tees up to have, of course, uh, Iruma go and just be like, okay, well, like maybe I can f this up, or maybe I can mess this up, so that way I will get expelled because the teacher, who is Professor Caligo, is to just be like very strict. He's kind of like the Professor Snape of this place. So he's just like, man, like I'm better than everybody at this school, and I don't like that Lord Sullivan uh, was giving me this curriculum and and telling me what to do and docking my pay and and telling me how great I was or something. I don't know. So we have Caligo that is just like I wanna take this kid and I wanna just like put him under my hand or put him under my thumb, or I wanna just like really just take this kid and just like push him down to the ground as much as I can, just squeeze the life out of him. So so that leads to now Aruma is up and he's just like, okay, like I can freaking mess this up and be expelled and I'll never go to this school again. Like, let's see what happens. And so all of a sudden, bizarrely, uh we are seeing Aruma go and uh have Caligo be his uh like a Digimon Pokemon-ish like assistant character, because all of a sudden we just see that like this character Caligo has like bizarrely been like split in half, and like and so we have Aruma who's trying to like pull certain parts of Caligo, because like his bottom half is in one part and his top half is in one part. So the kid is trying to like pull this guy out so he can kind of reset himself, but that just bizarrely turns him into some weird looking like owl slash bat slash like hairpiece looking thing. It looks really goofy and weird. So all of a sudden we are to find out that Caligo is to now be forced to be Aruma's like little pet of a thing for a year, and because that's supposedly the contract of it all. And it's just like, so Caligo now has to like, he's still gonna be rude to this guy, but like he is to still have to forcibly be at his beck and call, I guess. So, like, again, even Caligo, who really just brutally hates this kid, like, is still gonna have to, like, somehow, some way, like, smidgen bit of something, like, lick this kid's boots. And so that leads us on to a girl named Clara, who's to be this kind of, really like positive, happy-go-lucky girl, which a lot of people will hate those kind of characters. Like for me, like I don't like cutesy, but like but I've ended up probably seeing anime that had a lot of cutesy stuff. But anyways, so we have this girl who is to be called Clara Valak, who is to be this girl who can seemingly summon everything once she's to pat her like pockets. She's like hit her pockets, and bizarrely anything could come out of them. Like if she wanted a yo-yo, freaking she just hits her pocket, and then all of a sudden a yo-yo comes out. Like if this girl wanted like Excalibur at any second, she could probably hit her pocket, and Excalibur could be coming out of her pocket. Like that's the weird thing about this girl. So the third episode is to mostly just cover how this girl is to like have these like magical pockets of fortune and power. So uh this girl is to be supposedly consistently giving these three other school guys consistently like drinks or popsicles or any random items. And so we end up finding out that these guys have kind of been taking advantage of this girl, Clara, and really just like, hey man, like all you need to do is just be like, seem to be her friend, and like she'll give you all kinds of treats and stuff. Or it's just like, oh, so these guys are taking advantage of her. So all of a sudden, Iruma is to find Clara and really just decide to just like, hey, like she wants to play, so heck, like man, I'll just play with her. Like whatever she wants, like that's what we'll do. And Osmodeus is just like, well, I'm not gonna play. And then so like Aruma's like, yeah, you are. And then Asmodeus is just kind of like, okay, I'll play around. Like I'll play. But then he's like begging freaking Aruma, like, please, let's not play again. Let's just not. So, because like bizarrely, this girl is like telling Aruma to be this dog, and so he ends up being a dog. Or like bizarrely, there's this story about some affair that's going on, and Asmodeus is like the girl of the affair, and all of a sudden, like Clara is to bring an axe to Asmodeus because supposedly like she's the cheating girl. So, and this girl also has these like little slippers that are to like have these eyes that move. And so it seems like these slippers have their own supposed personality or whatever, but like that doesn't seem 100% clear. So, but anyways, the main thing about this is that Clara is to be her own person, and Iruma is to eventually go and like when Aruma is to offer, or when Clara is to offer Aruma like all these snacks and everything like that, Aruma is to decline all of them. And so all of a sudden Clara is to start to cry because she's like, oh no, nobody's going to want to play with me because that's always what happens is everybody just gets tired of me or hates me or whatever and they just want me to all go away. And so Aruma is like, no, like that's not what I wanted, like at all. Like our crosses are freaking like we missed something here. So Aruma is to just be like, hey, like you've given me enough. Like I'm willing to play with you. It's fun. Like you don't have to give me like anything to do that. And so that just kind of tells Clara that she doesn't have to beg people to play with her. And so eventually, once these guys come a calling for Clara, it's like, hey, we need drinks. Like, give us some stuff. And so all of a sudden, we have Clara who ends up hitting her pocket. All of a sudden, have this like vending machine coming flying out of the sky. And so Clara all of a sudden is to smash this vending machine into this guy and is to tell them, it's like, well, hey, like, just put money into this machine and you'll get all the stuff you ever wanted. And so finally, that just tells Clara that it's like, hey, be your own person and finally give these like kids what they deserve, kind of thing. So, like, that's a nice note and that's a nice moment and whatever. But eventually, towards the end of the third episode, we are to find out that eventually Aruma and all these people that are tied to Aruma, I think are going to end up in like an outcast class where I guess really that like I don't know if that means that they're going to be like the best or maybe they're going to be the worst. But eventually I think it's going to be really interesting because I think we're going to eventually see every person in this class who is to eventually get their own story. So that's going to be really interesting. But yeah, so really that's how these first 3 episodes play out. There might have been some details or something like that that, of course, unfortunately, there are some stuff that I miss or skip around about or whatever. But that's always bound to happen during a review. I'll just say that eventually maybe I'll have a rebuttal or something like that in another review if people are interested in having me talking about this again. But in the end, I think it's about that time to say I'm going to get out of here. Uh, Hopefully, people are interested in having me review anime because I'll go out of my way and like try every once in a while to do more anime. It's been such a long time. Uh, I always just kind of eventually just naturally assumed that I would go back and doing it, but it just kind of got to where like I don't know if people are really interested, or I don't know how long people will be interested for, because like shows are always hard to really do uh, for YouTube. It's much easier to do a movie because usually like movies are kind of an easier thing to sell for whatever reason. So I'm gonna get out of here. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.